Okay. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening to. This is the Brand Stories podcast. And today on the show, we have a very, very important guest. A very important guest. Let me give you a little hints about this guest. I'm not going to do the normal, this is the person's profile. I'm going to give you a story or tell you a story about the guest we have on the show today. So I remember one time like that in I think my year three or so, one Saturday, I was like, okay, I think that was exam period. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to cook soup. I'm going to do my laundry, eat and sleep. And I was, following my process. I finished cooking. I finished doing laundry, and now I was trying to cook soup. Oh yeah, I finished doing laundry. I was cooking soup. I was done, and I was preparing to have my bath and eat. And before I know, my phone rang. I was like, why is this guy calling me now? Why is this guy calling me? Full and Bill, he was like, where are you? And I'm like, what do you mean, where am I? What do you mean, where am I? I'm at home now. He's like, do you know we have exams now? Like, his voice was so frantic. I was like, guy, calm down, calm down. Exams, how? Why? He was like, yes, now we have an exam. Da, 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 da. And I remember that day, I did 60 seconds in the bathroom, 60 seconds to wear my clothes. I was literally rushing, but guess what? I still had to slow down because the guy that carried me was very slow getting to school. But the bottom line is that this guy is my very close friend. He's one of those guys that I can call. Like, if I'm about to die, I can call him and say, Alpha Alpha, please let me check that Google Drive. Check, there's one design I've not finished. Can you open it and help me design it before I die? So that I know that my burial, nobody's going to hold me for unfinished designs. So today on the show we have, drum rolls, please. We have the one and only. Okay, I'll introduce him with his brand name first before I introduce him with his real name. His brand name is the Inch. Literally, like inches, like the inch there. Yeah, what is in your mind? Yeah. So today we have Inemesit Charlie and Efiok. Can we put a round of applause? Yay!
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from where you're listening. Glad to be here. Thank you very much, Elite.
You see the way he's doing soft boys. He's not a soft boy. He's not a soft boy. Okay. Let's start. Who is the Inch or who is Inemesit? Let's start from there.
Hmm, Okay, so before I go into that, I think I would answer the question of who is the inch. The inch is Inemesit Charlie. And you might be wondering why the inch. Inch, IN for Inemesit, CH for Charlie. So Inemesit Charlie, the inch. So who is Inemesit Charlie? Inemesit Charlie is basically a young, striving, creative who prioritizes competency over visibility, actually. Because I mean, it's one thing to be in the room where the kings exist, and it's another thing to have what it takes to dine with the kings, which, of course, for me, that thing is competency. So that's basically it about me. I also love to. I'm a creative designer, actually. Yes, I'm a creative designer. I also get to partake in controversial discussions. As funny as that is, most people don't like to talk about things that are controversial because of how they feel other people will react to or see them. But I mean, if I can't lend my voice in cases like that where it's needed, then where will I be lending my voice to? So, Mr. Charlie is a creative designer. He talks about controversial topics. He's also a core believer, a Christian. Yes,
Hmm.
a child of God.
So you're a
I can't take
pastor.
that one out of the equation.
So so
Yes,
so
something
so,
like that.
so basically you're a pastor. Okay, don't worry.
Yes.
Before the end of this session, we'll give you an opportunity to share a word with us. Don't
Okay.
worry. Yeah.
I'll be delighted to.
Okay, so if you were to describe yourself in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? If you were to describe yourself in 3 words, just 3 words.
Okay. So if I am to describe myself in three words, the first word will be process.
Okay.
The second word will be competency,
Okay.
and the third word would be discipline.
Discipline. Interesting. So why do you say process? Like, what's the idea behind the word process? Why would you say process?
Okay, for me, I think one of the biggest factor in my life, or one of the things I don't joke with in my life, is the principle of process.
Okay.
And why I don't joke with process is because there's one thing to life that most times you don't get, and the thing is that there are so many alternative routes to getting a thing done. But when we try to prioritize optimization, which is like the best possible way to getting it done, over following processes, right? Which are like systems that actually enables us achieve the results we are looking for, we will always find ourselves hitting a dead end because optimization has a level to which it can solve the problem. But process builds you up not to just be a problem solver but a critical thinker. So while someone that can optimize knows how to solve a problem, process helps you analyze the problem, understand the problem, solve the problem, and also develop systems around dealing with those kind of problems or challenges uh, in subsequent situations. So I believe that process is something that is a definite part of life. A tree doesn't just become a tree overnight. It has processes it goes through. So
Hmm.
that's the
That's
process
that's
standpoint for me.
powerful. That's powerful. I really like the way you've broken that word down because sometimes we just use words to describe ourselves. Some of them are cliche, some of them is a generic thing we have been hearing. So we just say, well, let me just use it to define myself. But I like the fact that you have a deep understanding of not just the word, but how it relates to you as a person. So it's tailored to your own identity. That's beautiful. So now, um, you're a creative designer. From what you said, I want you to let us in on your journey. How did you go from point zero to point hundred or the point that you are in now? Because I believe that no designer will or has gotten to a point where they can say, I've reached my peak. Every designer is always in a stage of growth or learning. Probably you may not be clicking the mouse again anymore. You may transit from execution to leadership. But so yeah, walk us through your own journey. How did you begin? Like, what's your own story? Let's hear you.
Okay, so for my design journey, I think my design journey began when I had my first laptop in 2018. I was trying to prepare for JAMB,
Hmm.
that's for the next year. And my parents, there was this guy around that was trying to go for NYC and needed money. So my parents got a laptop from him for me. I can't forget HP Elitebook 8460p. That laptop, my friends always call it a hot tray because of how heavy and hot it gets whenever I'm working with it. So the 4 gig RAM laptop with 256 gig HDD. That was even the first time I got familiar with all of this kind of stuff. And the interesting thing was that the laptop actually came with Corel Draw.
Hmm.
One of those days, I was trying
Was
to.
he a designer? Like the guy that sold the laptop to you, was he a designer?
Yes, I think so because I noticed he had some design samples and stuff on the laptop which he did not collect before
Okay.
selling it. So yes, he was a designer. So I opened up the corridor. I have a curious mind, of course. So one of those days I was playing with Megan's Beacon, the typing game, and then I found the corridor and something prompted me to open it up. At this time, I myself and my parents recently joined a church, Christian church, and I noticed that they always had, funny enough, I was not a designer then, but I didn't know used to like the kind of flyers I was seeing for church services. I was like, this could have
It could
been
be
better.
better. It could be
Yes,
better. Yeah, yeah.
better.
There was a dissatisfaction in you.
You get. And the funny part was, was that I knew nothing about design at that point. So one of those days, I just opened the Corel Draw, and for some reason, I find myself able to. Once I see tools or shapes, I find myself trying them out and knowing how they work. I randomly, I can't forget my first design. I designed a flyer for the Night of Grace program for church, and I used
Hmm.
this early morning flowerish, yellowish, flowerish kind of thing. And then I just had everything there nice. I'm, sitting everywhere with a million and one different fonts.
Yeah, we all had that stage.
So I took it to church with my laptop, and then I showed my pastor's son. For some reason, I think we started talking, and then I showed him. And when he looked at it, he was like, "Oh, you did this with Photoshop." I was like, "What is Photoshop?" That was the first time in my whole life I
You're hearing Photoshop, like,
answered. So I said, "No, I saw something called
seriously. Wow.
Corel on the laptop. That's what I use." Uh, to cut that side of the story, I told him I wanted to learn from him because he was a designer. And the catch was that okay, I did not have what it took at that time to pay him, and I couldn't bother my parents about that. So I told him I was serving for a year, 1 full year serving him. He shouldn't pay me salary. He shouldn't pay me anything. He should just teach me how to design.
Hmm.
Gateway Globals, I can't forget. That's where I learned how the basic design principles, design elements, how to use Photoshop. I also I served him. I was always in the shop. He was in school at the time doing his bachelor's, of course. I was still in my secondary school, so he was um halfway across his bachelor's program. So he would go to school and then come back and meet me in the shop. And I remember how annoying it used to be that he would give me a task to design a business card. And I have to do one thing 10 times. I literally not joking. I had to
Hmm.
do one business card, like just one business card 10 times. I'll do this way. Tell me, no, you did not get this right. You did not get this right. Go back and watch that video I showed you about balance. I'll go back
Wow.
and watch the video. And then I'll come back. I'll try it again. But tell me, no, you did not get it right. Go back and watch the video about contrast. I'll go back and watch the video. I'll do something. I'll come back. Say, okay, this is better. But your alignment is not sitting well. Go back and watch the video. I was
You know,
like, Joe, no.
this your story reminds me of Karate Kid. I don't know if you watched that movie, Karate Kid.
Yeah, yeah, yes,
Where
yes.
where the trainer kept making him feel like he wasn't. We were just telling him to do a particular thing, and he was like, "Guy, come on, come on." So yeah,
That's thing. Like it was like, what's happening here? Why are you telling me to go back? But one of the interesting thing about that is that it really strengthened my core as regards design elements and design principles. In fact, so there I learned the difference between the design principles itself and design elements, which are the core part of design and branding foundations, of course,
hmm.
core parts. So that's actually where my journey started. From there, I started improving my designs personally. But aside just learning design, since he was not always in the place, I became the manager of the store, from the accounting to handling the repairs of the generator, to doing the furniture. Like whenever things got bad, I had to take on managerial roles, leadership roles. So I was the one going to buy fuel, come back, fuel the generator. If the plug was bad, I'll change it, come back and turn on everything, set up the printer, do the printing, serve the clients. When the fuel goes down, I'll rush out again to go and get fuel. That was just the whole routine.
All this from learning how to, like, all this started because you wanted to learn Photoshop, right?
Yes, yes,
Mad.
yes.
So you see, your creative journey even took you even beyond the software
It took me
into
to the print.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's another interesting thing, and your knowledge on hardware also increased.
Yes, yes, definitely.
That
So
that's
fast forward to the year, yes, forward. I had the design skill, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it or how to apply it. I didn't really have clarity. Uh, I just wanted to do everything. I will not like, because at some point I
Eh?
started learning UI UX, so I added to it. But UI UX did not work out for me. But I found something that really resonated with me, and that was branding. And when I told myself I wanted to niche down to branding, I was like, will I actually see somebody that wants to pay me for this? So it started from charging 1,000 naira for logos to 3,000 naira for logos. And then when the first clients paid, I moved to 5,000 naira. Skeptical, I had some rejections, but I got someone that paid. I moved to 10,000 naira and kept going forward till also developing the knowledge and all of that. And here we are, still pushing.
Now charging 1 million, Abby. You went silent. You went silent all of a sudden. Now charging 1 million. Wow,
No, we are
interesting.
getting there. We are getting there.
In,
We are this close to getting there.
we are this close, Abby. No
Yes,
wala.
very close.
Wow, wow, that's such a beautiful story. One of the things that I think is very important in what you've said is the fact that you don't know how far what you want to learn can take you. So you only know your starting point, but you don't know the next point, or even the point. Maybe you even know the next point, but you don't know the point after that, and after that, and after that. You started just, with a, should I say, a lucky tool on your system, which happened to be Illustrator. You went to church. From going to church, your pastor's son, saw what you did, picked interest in it, and you began to learn. You did not just learn design, but basically you learned how to do a particular thing repeatedly, because anybody that has done design to a level of, did I say, mastery, will know that see that early stages, it is very annoying, because
Yes.
you do something and it looks fine in your own eye. Your own eye is really very clear. Like, boy, this is cool. You will now show it to the person that's probably a mentor or someone that he's guiding you, and he will just tell you, what is this? What is why is this here? Why? And you be like, guy, how far now?
What's
That
happening?
what's happening, guy? Can you cut me some slack? Like, I literally put
I tried.
hours.
I
I
tried.
tried. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. Like, it's so exhausting. But yes, at the end of the day, with with much effort, we pull through that stage, and we begin to see that there's actually more we can do for ourselves. And you're able to even come out into being a leader, navigating around print and all of that. you know one of the things that I really respect about you is the fact that your knowledge on hardware, that's systems, devices. And sometimes I even sit down and I ask myself, what am I doing myself? How am I using a system I don't even, the the system that's the system, like the most recent system I had. Remember how it was? I was like, even recently, someone was even asking me about that system, like the specs and all. I said, I don't know. I know nothing. I'm I'm very ignorant about it. So I think that, if you permit me to assume, that was one of the seasons where you got to get knowledge about that, right?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yes, so that's another thing that I'm sure you didn't expect when you started your journey. So now you've got into your Agba designer stage, Abby. We
That's we are there.
are
we are
getting there.
we are
Okay.
getting there.
So what are some key things that has helped you along the line? Like, what are some key things that you said, okay, this is one thing that helped, this is one thing that helped, in the course of building yourself as a creative designer.
Okay, I would answer that question with a quote that may sound very cliche. And that
Okay.
quote is, when there is a will, there is a way.
Hmm. That's deep.
Now, what do I mean by when there is a will, there's a way? When I started, aside that my tutor that only actually just taught me,
Okay.
when I got the basics, he was like, okay, you can go do your thing, right? I
Yeah.
didn't really have mentors, like anybody that would really guide me or mentor me through the processes, the stages, and the routes to take. to make the learning process faster. So as a result of wanting to get better, I had to research on a lot of things. I had to read even beyond the scope of what I needed. I went as far as doing UX research. I bought a course, I paid for a course to do UX research inside graphics design. ah, full UX research, prototyping and all of that inside graphic design. I got a course for that. I had to read articles, read about different things, buy data, purchase online courses and all of that. I was not earning at this time, oh, funny enough.
You're just gathering, feeling
uh,
yourself.
You get so whatever I could. By this time, actually, I was also so alongside the design, I also worked with my dad on site, and my dad is a supervisor. So when I go to the site with him, he most times leaves the site for me to supervise. And because of supervising, I also tend to do the menial jobs that the workers are doing, and they'll pay me actually by the end of the day for supporting. And most times, my dad will also pay me for at least getting the job done. So it
Hmm.
was those small perks I was getting that I was pushing back to buy programs, pay for courses, buy data, and all of those stuff to really help me. So just gathering knowledge, curiosity is actually something I'll say that brought me this far. When
Wow.
there is a will, there is a will. The curiosity to know always brought opportunities that helped me grow. And I will not say that it was like all easy, like everything was on a platter of gold. I saw Shege.
Yeah, that's normal now. If
Like
you don't see
serious,
Shege, any designer
serious.
that has not seen Shege, I don't know, maybe you have not started probably, but it's part of the job.
It got to an extent that before I turn on my laptop, I have to loosen it up, set the hard drive, hold it with my hand for it to
Wow,
come on. Then once it has now come on, I now use paper or tissue and guide the hard drive to stay inside. Then I'll
mad,
screw back
Jesus.
the laptop, and then that's how I start work for the day.
And you were doing this like consistently.
Consistently. I used
Wow.
that laptop for 4 years in my whole journey. So
And
that was
that
like the
was the
sec
state, and that
that
was
was
the
the
state
sec
of it
yes,
throughout.
that was at no no at some point I had to, because I now started gaining hands on stuff. So I had to buy a new hard drive. I had to buy an extra RAM to add because it came with 4 gig. So back then, getting a 4 gig stick, how much? 4,045. Big money then. So I
Obviously.
had to buy and add. And then I think later on that hard drive crashed or so. Then my immediate mentor who now came into Nigeria at that time, we met, we talked, he asked me what I was doing, and he was also helping grow me though in the spiritual aspects. He supported me with money. I got a new hard drive, mounted it on the system. That was after like 3 years and some months of using the laptop with the paper configuration, the paper configuration. So that's basically it. I
Hmm.
used that laptop till I got okay, it got bad, and then I had to save up money. My mentor saved up money to get me that exact same laptop again, and I used the second one till 20. I think 20. When did I get my first job? That was 2023 till 2023 when I got my first job. So 2018 to 2023, 2019, 2021, 2020. Yeah, that was how long I used the heavy hot tray that my friends used to call it.
Wow. Wow. This is such, we are friends, though, you understand? But it's different when you're sharing this story like this. Like, I cannot even begin to imagine, some nights where you will just sit down and even ask yourself, is it even worth it? Because I can imagine, those questions will come up. Even for
Definitely.
most of us that even have the opportunity to even have better laptops, we will still even answer ourselves that question. Then talk more. You that wasn't even having something that is even very, you know. So how did you, like, those times when maybe you're designing something, system will go off, you lose everything, and like how did you get past that?
Uh, I would say the only thing I told myself was the only thing that kept me going actually was I may not actually see the results now, but somehow things will work out. That was the only thing I kept telling myself. I
Hmm,
may not really see the results now, but somehow things will work out. Somehow
hmm,
things will work out. Somehow things will work out. Even at times where the laptop, there was even a time I think I even mentioned it in the story. There was a time I didn't even have a laptop again.
hmm.
Uh, I I felt like so this is how it's gonna be. But in the end, things will work out. Things will work out. That was the only thing I just kept telling myself. Things will work out. Things will work out.
Hmm.
That's like that has been my biggest motivation. Even till now, I just still low key tell myself that things will
Things
work
will
out.
work out.
Very
Hmm.
positive. Things will work out.
Things will work out.
Even
Wow.
if I don't know where I'm going to, what I'm or everything will just fall in place at some point. Because even the Bible says that all things work together for our good. So somehow everything will just find an intersecting point, an intercept, and things will work out. That's just what I
Hmm.
tell myself actually.
Interesting. This is such a very heartfelt story. You know, I started designing with my phone, and if you design with your phone, except you're using a machine that's like maybe a Pixel or a very high end Samsung, you suffer. And I'm telling you, you suffer because your phone will hang. Even when there's space, the phone will just hang. That's just it's a follow come effect with designing with your phone. So I can relate to this, what you're saying now. I can really relate to it because there were times when I will be watching a video, and learning with doing smartphone design and using a laptop is a little bit different because the dynamics around it is that, number one, well, now there is a lot of resources or a lot of learning resources, but at that time there were only like one or two Nigerians that were teaching it. The main guys that were teaching it was Indians, and you are familiar with Indians now. Their teaching style, it can get a little bit complicated. You can get lost at a very crucial point in the training, and it can be frustrating. And at that time I used to do it at night, so I used to do it like around 2 1 a.m. I'm designing, I'm struggling to drag this, drag that, drag this, it was like, I remember one day something happened. I was designing that night, and my mom came to where I was, and she was like, "Are you watching porn?" And I just looked up, I said, "God, hey, good." Like it had gotten that bad because I was doing it every night. Like, you literally come and see me covering duvet, and when you open the duvet, I'm there with my phone. I'm trying to drag, dropping, and because so that night she just came and said, "Are you watching porn?" I said, I didn't even respond. I just kept doing what I was doing. When she came closer and peeped, she said I was following. So I was using her phone because she has two phones. I was using one of her phones as my television, let me put it that way. So I was using it to watch the tutorial. Then I was doing the tutorial, practicing what I was watching on my own phone. And as you said, I learned principles. In fact, when I started designing with Photoshop, which I learned designing with Photoshop from you. It was very easy because I don't do balance, alignment, color, all those. All I needed to do was to prime my creativity. But with designing with a phone, you see shaggy, you see banza in colors and shade. So I can really relate to what you're saying, but nevertheless, I can't say that I have a full grasp of what you experienced because no matter how you can relate to someone's journey, it will never feel the same because you were not there. So I just want to say that that's a crazy one. That's a real crazy one. And I'm happy for where you are now. I'm really excited. And I know that more is coming, more coming your way. Even I think I saw when you posted your workspace that your dad is setting up for you, and I was like, I just smiled to myself and I said, this is just the beginning for this guy. Most times I in fact I view everybody on my circle status, but I rarely respond because I want people to be comfortable enough to share their opinions without having the thought of what would I say. When you are conscious of someone, sometimes you tend to hold back what you really want to say. So sometimes I just keep quiet. When I actually speak on certain things, that means they are really extreme. But more often than not, when my friends post things, I just keep quiet. If I don't have a positive comment, or I don't want them to feel biased towards what they want to say. But I saw what you posted and I was so excited by it. I was like, I remember the picture you posted some years ago, whether 1 or 2 years, about your workspace. I think it was a blue table. Did I a blue?
Yes, a plastic
It was
table.
a
Yes.
plastic table, and now
Yeah.
you're posting this, and I'm like, I felt too much joy in me. Sometimes we only have joy when God does things for us. But I have, I have begun to train myself to also have joy when God does things for people around me, because it's not even because, oh, when God is doing something for someone and you celebrate, that means He's about to do your own. Well, there is
Yeah.
that, but I just genuinely celebrate because, trust me, when your friend is happy, you are happy. That's if you are truly your friend, you should be happy and you will be happy. So I'm really excited about your journey and your story so far. So let's go to some very interesting questions. Like this one is going to be this is where we are going to shake some tables, because we are going to
Mhm.
throw some scribblets at some people. So tell us, what is your worst, without going into actual details, but what's your worst client experience? That's in terms of being a creative designer. What's the worst experience you have had as a creative designer with a client?
I cannot forget. You know,
Go
I
on.
cannot. the
You
worst
already have.
the worst client experience I've had is working with the clients that do not know what they want.
Wow. Mm,
I literally revised, and I'm not trying to exaggerate this,
okay.
but I literally revised a particular design 10 good times. I'm not kidding.
Mm.
It's like the title
I
should
can
come
relate.
before the name. No, the name should come before the
Because
title. No,
me-
this should be here and this name should be here. And the funny part is that because they don't have clarity on what they want,
yeah,
they think that you as the designer don't know how to do
you
your
should.
job.
Yeah,
It
crazy.
was crazy.
That's crazy.
Really crazy.
It can be crazy. It can be crazy. So how did you go about it at the end of the day? Did you round up the project? Did you tell them to go and sit down in hell and
Ah,
buy Chivita? Like, what happened at the end of the day?
okay, I think at the end of the day, I rounded up the project. One of the craziest things that
Okay.
particular project taught me was patience.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, I'm not saying this for other designers to tolerate just anything, right? Because it is now you can't stress me like that too. But one of the things he really taught me is that aside that he didn't have clarity on what he needed, right? The client had a concept in mind, which he envisioned the project to look like. And on my end, because he didn't communicate that, I didn't understand that. We also had the back and forth with the other side. But my creative concept was contradicting with the client's perspective on what it should have looked like. So one of the things he taught me was patience. Patience to get clarity, should be patient enough to understand what they need, should be patient enough to get, if they have a sample of what they are looking for. Because sometimes before they come to you, they already have a mood board of what they want you to do for them.
Hmm.
That's why most of the time when I find myself working with those kind of clients or clients in general, I'm like, one of the questions I ask is, do you have a mood board, or do you have like inspiration for what you're looking out for in your designs? So that I won't end up doing something, sitting, spending the hours researching, trying different fonts, trying different. layouting style, and then you now come and be like, "Oh, this is nice," but I think we
I
should
should. Ah.
do. Or my wife said,
My wife
"Clearly
said, "Oh
you're
my
talking
God."
married." Fine. My wife
My
said,
my wife said it's one of the most traumatic things that, I'm actually maturing out of it. But you see that my wife said, remember when we worked with a client recently and he brought up that, let me show my wife, and I was like, "Mogbe," because
"Ah,
our experience as designers with my wife said is always negative. So
yeah."
when he came back and he was
At
like,
that point, you'll be telling the Lord, "God, please touch his
please,
wife.
please touch his
Please
wife.
his
Like
wife."
you literally be praying the prayer that Esther prayed when she wanted to go and see the king. Oh God, touch the heart of the king concerning me. Touch and the person that is involved, sometimes they have actually made their decisions, but they just allow themselves to be influenced, and the person that influences them sometimes doesn't have a creative doesn't have creative knowledge. He just feels something should be different, or sometimes they say, can we see something different? I'm like, guy, what 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 difference did you want to see? What's like, oh my God, I I can't imagine what that felt like. I can't, but I hope you got paid for that project.
It was a volunteering role. Oh, that was the funny.
Wait. After all this shege, it was free job. Oh my God. Chai,
Yes.
chai. Well, it's fine. It's fine. It's part of the job. So yes, we listen. We don't judge. We listen. We don't judge. Don't worry.
Definitely.
We listen. We don't judge.
Ah,
Okay. So now, if you were not a designer, you're not a creative designer, what else would you be doing?
okay, if I was not a creative designer, I would be a personal development coach.
Hmm. A
Yes.
Miles Monroe, basically.
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Wow.
Uh, Basically for primarily for young
Okay.
men, because growing up, I had a lot of crazy childhood experience. You're already aware of most of them. And some of these actually also shaped the way I view life. And it made me um, grow more mature than my age at a very young age, funny enough. So at that point in time, I found myself having issues with making friends with people within my age range. I had friends that were 20 years older than me at that point in time, 10 years older than me. I think the minimum I had was about 7 or 6 years older than me.
Hmm.
And I realized that something that was very common within people of my age range was that the guys just there's this thing that whenever a trend comes up for guys, let's say for instance sagging or saying things a certain way or doing things a certain way, we always jump at it and try to replicate it. And most of the time, when I look back at some of those things, not just in trends, but some kind of content that we were consuming at that time, I see how dysfunctional it has affected the generation of young men that came out of those kind of materials, those kind of resources that were consumed. And of course, are all also experiencing the repercussion of those kind of, or we're experiencing the consequences, or we're experiences of those kind of men in our generation today. I would have a personal development coach that was not a creative designer.
Hmm.
Guide young men scripturally, emotionally, mentally. And when I say emotionally, most people might be like, what does this one know about emotion? Funny enough, my emotional journey started at a very young age, but that's a gist for another day, not today. But I also actually got to build some level of emotional intelligence growing up and all of that. Like a whole lot of things happening at the same time. So
Hmm.
that's it.
This is interesting. This is interesting. You know why I'm saying this is interesting? Because I don't know, there's a part of me that feels that you will still go back, or there's a season in your life where you actually actualize this, this part. People feel that sometimes life is about either or. So you can't either you are this or you are this. But I don't believe so. So my own mindset around life is that you start with something, you get so good at it, then like the like a palm tree, you sprout, like you begin to spread your branches into other areas while you still have your foundation, deeply rooted. But the problem is that people want to do the reverse. So they start out and they want to begin to do, like, for example, now you're a creative designer, you want to be a leadership coach, you want to sell cars, you want to do this, you want to do that, all in the name of multiple streams of income in quotes. But foundationally, before God created you, He knew that possibly you're going to do all these things, but He always wants you to start from something that you will be able to achieve early. Number one. Number two, that area will build you along other areas. So just take, for example, now as a designer, you mentioned something. You said you've learned patience, and that is, it's not even like, it's not even to you. It's something that happens across board. As designers, we learn how to see things from other people's perspective. Sometimes you can meet a client and the person is all puffed up. I know what I want, but when you get into the project, the person don't even sabi anything. But you have to, you at that point you can't start telling the person, maybe I told you you don't know this thing. You just have to keep quiet, be empathize and all of that. So I strongly believe there's still a part of you that would go there. So I just maybe just to chip in that, just start building yourself concerning that. There may be a time where you have the opportunity to begin to speak. You're already speaking. I think last year you had about 2 to 3 speaking engagements, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
So
I think about four
about four,
speaking.
yeah. You see?
Yes.
So the door is already opening up, but you need to be prepared because the Bible says something very clear. It's a place that you can easily miss. But listen to what the Bible said. It said that Joseph stood up and shaved his beard and changed his clothes. That means he is the same guy, but for him to appear before the king, he needed to have another appearance. The same Joseph, not a different, not less talented, not less anointed, not less powerful, not less loving, but to appear before the king, he needed to change his appearance. So I strongly appearance that now I'm talking about within and without. So you just prepare yourself for opportunities that will come for you to begin to do that. Because yes, this our generation, we need leaders. We strongly need, because sometimes I view people's status and I'm like, Kai, have you been there is something they call e-koboko. You know what they call like internet koboko? That I can stay from where I am and just do pia, and you just do yeah, yeah, who's that who slapped me? Because some of the things I see online, yes, people say I'm catching cruise, some people say it's just a meme. I'm just, especially now that we have this share option on WhatsApp, people say it's not my own now, I shared it from somewhere. But most times I strongly believe that 90% of the things you allow to stay on your social media platform is a reflection of your mentality.
Def-
90%.
Definitely.
90% of the
Definitely.
things you allow to stay on your social media platform is a reflection of your mind. So you can't tell me that you are showing a girl in skimpy clothes. Or let me not even use that one because that one is, people can still argue that one as okay. But you are just being very, very vulgar with your language online. You talk about sex like as if it's nothing, you know, and then you now expect me to believe that you are not doing anything funny behind. It's a lie. Yes, I know there are people that are doing holy at thou, and behind the scenes they are, making mistakes. But you that you are vocal, there's nothing you want to tell me. You're doing those things. So yes, we need a lot of leaders to shape the generation that is coming, because a lot of people are beginning to identify themselves by what they have, by what they own, maybe an iPhone, a car. And these are not actually wrong things. These are very important things to have, considering the way technology is moving. But if you are building your identity foundationally on those things, there's an issue. And if there's nobody to come up and say, okay, these things are not wrong, because there's two parties. There are parties that say, don't have a good phone, use Paco, it means you're a strong man. No, The truth is that there are spaces that you go into that you actually need to have a good device. There are spaces that you go into that you actually need to drive a good car. It's not because of anything, just so that you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So,
Definitely,
but
definitely.
foundationally, you need to tell yourself, or you need to know within yourself, that even if I enter this place without a car or a phone, I am still a valuable person. I am still someone of value. I am still a man that is 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 okay. I'm okay. So we need more people. We need people like you, to write books, to hold conferences, because a lot of people are doing women conferences. Women conference, it's only one men conference I saw the whole of 2025. Forgive me for saying that, maybe because I wasn't taking note of it, but it was that conference that you told me about that time that you said you wanted to attend. I've forgotten what was the title.
Better men, better men.
Better men. But I'm not saying this as, oh, it doesn't happen, but we need more leaders for the men, as well as we have leaders for the women. We need leaders for the men, for the boys, because if you check the statistics, there's nothing confirmed, but I'm sure that more guys are doing internet fraud than women. Yeah, they're saying internet fraud is for men, prostitution is for girls. It's a lie. It's not true.
And the funny part of this thing is that go to places like asylum homes, psychiatric hospitals, go
Yeah.
to the prisons, the jail,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that about 75 to 80% of the people that are being kept in those places are male.
You see,
Right?
this is a very, and the man is the head of the family. So
Yes.
whatever a man believes, it's indirectly or directly transferred. It trickles down the family tree. So
Yes, it
yeah,
shapes the leadership of the home,
it does, it does.
his
Honestly,
own
does.
life and
It
his own
does,
life. So
because it does, it does. This is something we need. We need leaders. We need leaders to we need leaders to speak on and to direct. Okay. Um. So far, we've touched on yourself. We've touched on your design career, and we've joined a little bit to leadership. You see the way the interview has been going. We've joined a little bit to leadership. So now I want to ask. This is kind of an emotional question, considering that we just talked about identity and stuff. How do you handle imposter syndrome? Because I know every creative, not necessarily design wise, but every creative has, or anybody that is trying to do something great would always have imposter syndrome. But how do you handle it as Charles? How do you handle it?
mm, okay, so I I I I stand to be corrected, but I would say everybody the first kind of imposter syndrome that almost everybody would relate to is the
Mm-hmm.
one that comes with standing. Let me use the church setting. Standing
Okay.
as a child in the church altar to give presentation during Children's Day. Haha.
Mm.
Where you
Good.
find yourself talking to a crowd of witnesses, as the Bible will call it. A cloud of witnesses. I think that's where the first imposter syndrome starts. That's where we actually start picking up um, these kind of things. And I would say one of before I answer how I handle it, I would say one of the reasons why we have imposter syndromes in the first place is because of how our minds are shaped growing up, right? As children, uh, where would answer questions in class, and if we are wrong, our friends would laugh at us, or the whole class would nickname you after whatever it was that you flopped at, or had the error of it. So that's like something I would say actually started building imposter syndrome in us. It's not necessarily that we were originally made with imposter syndrome, or that were made to experience in imposter syndrome in our life. We just picked it up growing up, and then it starts showing in those critical areas of our lives where we need to shine. So, how do I deal with imposter syndrome? I think the first thing I tell myself is, if I'm in a room, it means I deserved to be there.
Hmm. Powerful.
Yes. If I find myself in a room, if I find myself speaking, if I find myself invited to do something, it means I am competent enough, or I deserve to do that thing, right?
Yeah.
And one of the scriptures that I match this up with is the Bible verse that says, "We are not given a spirit of fear,
But of
but
power,
power of
of
sound
love,
love, of self-control." Power, I think it's power, sound mind, because yes, it's sound mind and self-control.
and love. Yeah, and
Love,
love,
yes, love. So
and love.
the Bible is telling me that God has given me a sound mind,
Hmm.
right? So why am I letting what myself think of me affect that? And then another thing, this one I actually learned it during my journey, is that whenever I find myself dealing with imposter syndrome, I reflect back on my previous wins, my previous successes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's relevant to when Israel was dealing with Goliath,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Who in the country can slay this man? He's definitely going to get the king's daughter." And they sent David to go and give his brothers food. That was all they sent him. Now
Mm-hmm.
carried himself and said, "Ah, who is that filthy animal that is speaking against the Lord of Israel?" And his brother said, "Will you keep quiet? Come on, keep quiet." I'm definitely sure that they slapped his mouth. "Come on, keep quiet." The what are you saying? And he's like, "What are you telling me keep quiet for?" And then he had to reflect back. I was guiding my father's sheep when lion came. I dealt with them with my bare hands. Deer, bear, they came. Bears came. I dealt with them with my bare hands. And it was God that gave me that strength. So who is this one that I will not
You
be able
know.
to do?
Yeah. There was a
So
track record.
yes. So sometimes the imposter syndrome is just there to, sometimes it's meant to keep us humble. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But most times it kills our morale, or it like tries to reduce us, make us look small. So in
Hmm.
cases like that, I look back, okay, I've been in this kind of situations before, and I executed despite this. So I'm certain that I will be able to get this done. So those
Hmm.
are like some systems I use for approaching imposter syndrome for
Wow.
me. Yes,
This is very, very profound. Very profound idea. Number one, because you start first by affirming yourself. It doesn't even start by doing, it starts by affirmation internally. Internally
yes,
affirming yourself that, Oga, whether this thing, it was that my uncle decided to chook my name there, I deserve to be here. And
definitely.
and you know what that does? What it does, it makes you internally boot up to work toward, actually, let's say maybe you said it and you started affirming it and you really don't deserve to be there, you know but internally you now begin to push yourself to
Towards getting
actually
it.
meet up to that identity that you said, I deserve to be there. And with sooner time you just find out that, I actually deserve to be here. And if you even check carefully, you see that you have even outgrown
More
that.
than qualified. Yes,
More than so, I think I like that. That's a very important way to deal with imposter syndrome. And our final set of questions before we call it a, I wouldn't say a night, but before we round up this episode, is going to be some very interesting questions. One or two questions that I'm not sure you were expecting it, but don't worry, it's not where you think I'm going to that I'm going to. But yes,
Okay.
what's what's your what's an amount of money that if you get paid for one design project, after getting that money, you go to the bathroom and on the shower and say, I wash away poverty. I don't know if you understand that. Like,
Yes,
this is
yes.
one amount of money in one project. I'm not saying that two projects, three, like one design project fully paid, and you'll be like, oh, more, I wash away poverty. Yeah. What is that range of amount?
Hmm. Okay. For me, I if I'm okay, let me put it this way, right? If hold on, I'm trying to do the maths in naira because I want to give the dollar equivalent. I think one of the things I've been
You are free,
doing
you are free.
with my mindset lately is changing. Yes, so $1,000, minimum $1,000 for
So
one
a
project.
thousand dollars is what one amount that when it enters your account, you just turn and say, Kai, Baba God, she. Okay, that is beautiful. So now we are going to be rounding up with our free fire question. So I'm going to be asking you a series of questions, and you only have 3 seconds to answer.
Okay.
Well, let me give you 5 seconds for each question. So
Okay.
first question: Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Marvel.
Yes.
Interesting. Photoshop or Illustrator?
Illustrator.
Safe. Christmas or Easter?
Easter.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Interesting. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Fried eggs or boiled eggs?
Right.
If you could delete one of your design softwares forever, which would it be?
Forever.
That you will never have access to that design software again. You
Ah,
know, you will not see it, it will not see you. What software will it be?
ah, 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 ah. That would have been Photoshop, oh, but right now I've not even fully mastered how to do so much manipulation on Illustrator. So that question is tricky.
Okay.
I don't use Canva, so I'll say Canva.
Are you sure you want to delete Canva? You know all those quick flyers that you don't want to you just do ta 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 and you just send it. Are you sure you
I
want to
definitely Canva.
Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, so we've come to the end of today's episode, and it has been very interesting for me because, first of all, we are friends, as I said at the beginning of the episode and in between, but it is a very, very different experience for me. First of all, because I consider myself the first audience of every show, I consider myself the first learner, the first person to pick something. We're recording the shows for people, but as the host, I always like as you were speaking, I have been jotting, taking notes, writing down, adding to my own knowledge. And it has been very interesting. I have been inspired, I have been challenged as I always am when I'm around you. You're one of those people in my circle that there's no how. Even if we are just playing, I would always be challenged. I would always learn something new. I would always see a different way to look at something or to do something. And I really want to say thank you for today's episode. But before we close out, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give a final word to our audience, specifically I wouldn't say specifically to designers, but yeah, considering that we talked a lot about design in this episode, so maybe a final word to an upcoming designer that is stuck with what did you call the name of that system again? What is it? Hot splits? I mean, what did you call that?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe a designer that is stuck with a hot split, or even a designer that has everything but isn't still getting it right. Because sometimes you can have all the tools, you can have the system, you can even have a very healthy workspace that you have the nice setup, the lights, but you're not still getting it right. you're designing, your designs are not coming right, or in terms of pricing, you're doing a good job, but you can't just get people to pay your rate, even when you even tell them, okay, you can pay me twice, but they still refuse to pay you your rate. They'll say, is it not? Or like recently, I was talking to someone, and the person was like, what? I genuinely wanted to do the job for her, not as in an agency now. I just wanted to, just do the design for her. I said, okay, what is your budget? Considering I don't like to mark up people financially, but I had an idea of what she can spend for things like I know what she spends, and she said 5K. I said, what? Wait. You want me to do the logo for you for 5,000 naira? Hey, God. I was so amused by that. But it would if it was like 2, 3 years ago, it would have been a very funny thing because I would have been very upset. I would have felt like, well, this person doesn't take me seriously and all of that. But over the years, I've gotten to understand that when people price your design, it's not personal. Most times there are different reasons people price design low. One of the major reasons is that they don't have an understanding of the importance of design and the value, that's the economic value now of design. So when you see people just say it's not 2K, most times they are not even trying to be rude. They don't just know that design is not 2K or your design is not 2K. So now I'll give you an opportunity to give a final word, to designers across board, from beginner that has it even to a middle to even someone at your level. What would you like to say? I hope I haven't lost you on
Oh,
this.
okay. Sorry. I did not notice my mic was muted. So I said
Oh,
I'll respond with three sentences.
okay.
First is, as a designer, understand your process and understand how to value it. Which is basically your pricing, your systems around getting things done, the kind of people you want to be working with, how you be doing your thing. Just understand your process and how to value it. Number two is, as a designer, try to be more functional and proactive.
Okay.
Prioritize functionality and proactiveness. Because honestly speaking, people won't just pay you to come and do something that is fine for them. If that's what they wanted, then they would simply go on AI. They would simply go to ChatGPT, Gemini Pro, and all of that to get it done for them. But those things can build the aesthetics, but it can't breed the identity and functionality. So try to make your design functional and proactive, be proactive. And lastly, as a designer, this is like the biggest of all the points I want to say.
Okay.
Remember that God is a designer,
Hmm.
and guess who is his image? You.
Wow.
So that's it from me.
Wow. That's so thoughtful. That's so profound. So there you have it, guys. Today we had a very important episode. For me, I think, yeah, this is our first episode, and it's also doubling as a test run episode. But I think it's very profound. A lot of things that have been said here, I need to even go back and go and sit down and even look at it and say, what did he really mean when he said this? And what did he really mean when he said that? And I want to appreciate you, for accepting the invite. Though I bullied you into this, but let's just the public will not know that it's a bully that I bullied you to come here. But yes, I will
But they
still
are hearing it here, of course.
I still want to appreciate you for, you
Thank you
know,
very much for
the
hosting me. Thank
time,
you very
the
much.
knowledge, the experience. and everything. I really, really, really learned a lot from you today. So there you have it, guys. That is our episode for today. See you on the next episode of Brand Stories. But don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe to our channel. Please, very, very important. You
Very
have
important.
to like, share, and subscribe. So till then, bye bye.
Um, Abi, that's how this is. Shall. It's still